Someone told me once that Unitarians take 3 chimes to pay attention. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Emerald Coast. My name is Amy Weisberg, and I will be your service leader this morning. We are a people of many different paths and beliefs who are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. While diverse in age, ethnicity, and gender, we share the same values, centered around love and acceptance of all. Our goal is to open minds, inspire spiritual growth, and ignite a passion for social justice. If you are visiting today, you will find more information about us on the back of your order of service and on our website, uufec.com. Please fill out a card by the front door so we can connect with you. In your order of service, you'll find a description of upcoming services as well as announcements. And there are several announcements in the order of service, so please actually do look at them. The grounds spring cleaning here at the church is scheduled for next Saturday, starting around 8:30 in the morning. And if you can come, bring, things that you rake with or cut with or whatever you do, and help out. Water and snacks provided. Rain date is April the 25th, but I don't think it's going to rain anytime soon. So there'll be service leader training offered during second hour on May the 3rd. If you'd like to do this, please come and learn how we do it. And also, celebration of Beltane Cypress Grove Cups will be hosting their annual Beltane ritual on Saturday, May the 9th at 7:30, and that is a potluck. So that announcement's also in your order of service. And your committee on ministry is still looking for input into our covenant. And I don't know who's here from the committee on ministry. Anybody here today? Anyway. Anna's here. So if you have some input about our covenant, you can see Anna. And then there's 2 more announcements from these lovely people.
Good morning. Denny and I have been gone to overseas, and so I'm a little late in getting this announcement, but it's no less needed. Stacy Shanks has not been here for a couple of weeks because she had a considerable operation, and she has requested to have meals brought in like we did before when she had an operation from the 15th to the 29th. So I have a sign-up sheet. I have emailed those who did that before, but if you have not provided a meal for the Shanks before, there's plenty of room for you to add your name. They do live on base, and so we have arrangements for getting meals to them if you don't have access to the base. So please see me after the service, sign up. We have a few names on here, and there's a lot of open spaces, and they love the meals before, so I know that we can fill all these squares and get them on a good stay.
I'm Denny Lauer. I'm along with her, but I'm talking on finances. We're just finishing up our pledge drive. We have over 80% of our pledges in, so we need the last few to be set up, because in 2 Sundays from now we have our annual finance meeting that we present the proposed budget for next year for 2026-27, and everybody be voting on that, so we need to get a good feel of our pledge income before we finalize that pledge that we're going to then ask you to approve. So that's the mechanics. If you haven't pledged yet, please come see me or any other finance people here. Yeah. I'm here too. And here and here. please see one of us and fill out a form or let us know and fill something out. We have a piece of paper on it. Very important. And that's about it. By the way, had a little lip work after we got back and everything else. Took a little cancer off my lip. The worst part, I had to shave my mustache off. I haven't recovered yet. Oh! I'm wearing my hip bandage.
Okay, and that being all the announcements, now the prelude prepares us for the service. And it's kind of a tradition for one of the young people here to light the chalice, and I forgot to ask somebody. Oh, Cecilia wants to be a young person today. So she's going to light the chalice while I read this. Searching for Justice and Hope by Summer Albayati. Lighting this chalice may feel difficult today. This symbol of justice, known to be a light of hope for the marginalized, a message of sanctuary for the oppressed, a flame that feels lost or diminished somehow. How do we rekindle this fire of compassion? How do we rekindle this fire of mercy? A famous verse within the Quran tells us that with hardship comes ease. With hardship comes ease. We welcome the ease, O God of justice. We welcome the ease, O Spirit of love. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame from our tears, our quiet suffering, from our collective prayers for those who cry for freedom. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame. On behalf of those who feel abandoned and betrayed, we welcome the ease and rekindle this flame for all the children who ask, why can we not live in peace as other children do? May lighting this chalice today, no matter how difficult it may feel, help us to rekindle compassion and mercy within the deep crevices of our hearts, so that we can once again bring justice and hope to a world struggling to find its humanity, struggling to find its soul. And now I invite you to stand as you're willing and able and sing our first hymn, Spirit of Life. This is mentioned in the recorded sermon today, and there's a reason that this particular speaker chose this hymn. So please stand and join together. And now it's time for our Time for All Ages. If any young people want to come up to the front, this is recorded, so it'll be showing up on the TV, which you all used to anyway. So.
We won't be needing this for a while, said Layla's mother, hanging up Layla's lunchbox. Imagine, I won't be eating lunch for a month, replied Layla with a twirl. I won't have to pack lunch for a whole month, said her mom with a bigger twirl. The year before, Layla had wanted to fast with her best friends, Hind and Ishrat, during Ramadan. But Layla's mom had insisted she was too small. Remembering that, Layla stopped twirling. She missed her friends. Moving from one continent to another had been hard. On the map in her atlas, North America and the Middle East were 10 inches apart. But in real life, she was so much farther away. She wished she was only 10 inches away from Hind and Ishrat. She knew the sign by the highway said, Peachtree City. You'll love to call it home. But she didn't agree with the sign. Abu Dhabi still felt like her home. The next morning, before sunrise, Layla's mom gently nudged her. Layla, she whispered, Sahari time. Layla chomped on her chocolate chip pancakes with her eyes closed. Delicious, she said. Come, let's pray now, said her mom. After Sahari, Layla snuggled back into her bed until her mom woke up again. This time for school. As she left the house, her mom handed her a note. Layla, please give this note to Mrs. Penworth. Without her lunchbox to carry, her fingers felt extra free and swingy. She felt so light she skipped to the school bus stop. On the school bus, she read her mom's note. Dear Mrs. Penworth, this will be Layla's first time fasting for the month of Ramadan. So it is an exciting time for us. Please excuse Layla from lunch for this special month. Thanks, Mrs. Malik. Layla didn't feel so bouncy anymore. What if Mrs. Penworth didn't know about Ramadan? No one else would be fasting with her. She folded the note into a teeny tiny square and hid it in her book bag. Layla walked slowly to her class. Her throat felt dry all morning. When lunchtime arrived, she still hadn't given Mrs. Penworth her note. Layla, did you forget your lunch? Asked Mrs. Penworth. Layla opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Samantha volunteered. I'll share my lunch with Layla. Mrs. Penworth shook her head. Thank you for the offer, Samantha, but Layla, please get a sandwich from the cafeteria. Layla followed her classmates to the cafeteria. Layla, do you want some of my cream roll? Asked Anna. Layla thought of telling Anna that she was fasting, but she didn't think anyone at Sunnyvale Elementary School knew about Ramadan. No thanks, she started to say. I didn't bring my... Are you sure? Asked Anna, unwrapping the cream rolls. Layla watched the cream rolls get smaller and smaller, and she didn't feel so sure. Cream rolls were her favorite. She looked away. Her nose still smelled food. Layla wished she had given Mrs. Penworth the note. Even Isaiah's bologna sandwich looked tasty, and Layla didn't even like bologna. Her stomach rumbled. Suddenly, she had an idea. While everyone was busy eating, she sneaked out of the cafeteria. Her stomach stopped growling. Why, Layla, it's a pleasure to see you, but what brings you here at lunchtime? Asked Mrs. Carmen, the librarian. Layla felt safe among all the books. She opened her mouth, and this time her words came tumbling out. Layla told Mrs. Carmen that Mrs. Penworth and her classmates didn't know she was fasting. She told her how she missed Hind and Ishrat. It felt good to tell someone all the words that had been inside her mind all morning, and especially to tell her about Ramadan. Mrs. Carmen understood. You must feel special to fast this Ramadan, said the librarian with a smile. I do, said Layla, but why is it so hard to explain? You know what I always do when I can't get my thoughts out or when I get shy about talking, asked Mrs. Carmen. I write my thoughts down. Layla got to work. She wrote neatly, adding extra loops to her capital L. She worked so hard her cheeks turned pink. Dear Mrs. Penworth, I didn't forget my lunchbox today. It's Ramadan. My mom finally let me fast. This means I won't be eating lunch for a month. Sincerely, Layla. P.S. I'm Muslim. P.P.S. My mom wrote you a note too. Here it is. P.P.P.S. Here's a poem I wrote about Ramadan. Ramadan is a month Muslims celebrate, a time to count our blessings and appreciate. Muslims fast before sunrise to sunset. But wait, that's not all just yet. Ramadan is a time for lots of prayer. We help the poor people to show we care. So in the day, I won't be eating any food, but hopefully will stay in a good mood. Layla hurried back to the cafeteria to join her class. Before school was out, she quietly dropped both notes onto Mrs. Penworth's desk. The next morning, Layla swung her fingers as she waited for the school bus. Would Mrs. Penworth like her poem? Layla hoped Mrs. Penworth wouldn't think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. She slowly climbed each step on the school bus. In class, Mrs. Penworth didn't say anything, so Layla wondered what had happened. At times like this, she wished Hind and Ishrat were with her. They would know what to say. At lunchtime, Layla's feet felt heavy. She was sure Mrs. Penworth hadn't seen the notes. Everyone would think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. As she was leaving class, Mrs. Penworth patted Layla on the back and handed her a message. Mrs. Penworth had made her capital L in Layla's name extra loopy. Dear Layla, I enjoyed your lovely poem about Ramadan. I'm impressed you're fasting. What a special time for you. You and your family must be thrilled. Would you share your poem with the class today after lunch? You could go to the library this month instead of the cafeteria. Mrs. Carmen is excited to see you. Sincerely, Mrs. Penworth. P.S. Miss Carmen told me you missed your friends. I hope you keep making new friends with our class. Layla twirled all the way to the library. She couldn't wait to share her Ramadan poem with her class. Later at iftar, she would celebrate this day.
Okay, is this on now? Are we on? Okay. So we're having some technical difficulties, apparently having to do with batteries in the thing that, anyway, I don't know. But that's what that boom was in the, at this time, we'll share our joys and concerns. The sharing of joys, milestones, and concerns is a tradition in our fellowship. You are welcome to come up and drop a glass pebble in the water silently or speak a few words into the microphone. This practice of sharing our joys helps us support each other in sorrows. Please do not share others' personal information without their permission. And now Daniel is going to give us our next reading. It's really a story, so.
Hello, I'm Daniel. Most of y'all know me. But I have a story here that Amy wanted me to read to y'all. It's called Gate A4 and it takes place at an airport. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal, after learning my flight had been delayed 4 hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor, wailing. "Help," said the flight agent. "Talk to her. What is her problem?" We told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly. Shudau bik habibiti stani shue min fadlik shu bitsui. The minute she heard any words she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for a major medical treatment. The next day, I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get just like let's call it." We called her son with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and ride next to her. She talked to him, then we called her other sons just for the fun of it. We called my dad, and he and she spoke for a while in Arabic, and found out, of course, they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took up to 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little powdered sugar crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts, from her bag and was offering them to all the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo. We were all covered in the same powdered sugar and smiling. There is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free apple juice from huge coolers. 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed that my new best friend, by now, We were holding hands. Had a potted plant poking out of her bag. Some medical thing with green furry leaves. Such an old tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around the gate of that gate of late and wary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in, the shared world. Not a single person in that gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost.
I cried when I read that story, and then I cried again when he read it. And I just like every time I hear it, I cry. We'll now take up our offering. After our song of dedication, greeters will take up the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice. Our fellowship is supported by our pledges and donations. If you're paying your pledge with a check today, please make a note in the memo line. We also have a tradition we call Share the Plate, where we split equally all cash donations and checks not marked as pledges with a local charity. Our partner this month is the UUA Side with Love campaign. Their goal is to amplify the voices of the oppressed through online media by showing up in partnership at justice events across the country, lobbying national leaders on immigration reform, racial justice, equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, religious freedom, and more. And after we do the song of dedication, The greeters will take up the collection. Wrong microphone. Habits. Um, our sermon today is a recorded sermon. The speaker is the Reverend Sana Saeed, who is a UU Muslim and is a congregational life consultant for the Central East region of the UUA.
Good morning, dear ones. It is such a gift to be here with you today. I am the Reverend Sana Saeed. I'm here not only as a guest preacher, but also as congregational life staff of the UUA for the Central East region. My role in part is to support lay leaders, helping connect folks with resources, and making sure they know that they are part of the larger Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. That sense of being connected to something larger is what my sermon is about today, too, because my own spiritual journey has been about living in between traditions and finding joy and belonging to more than one faith community. My pluralist journey expanded in 2009 when I was hired as the director of youth programs at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington, Virginia, even though I was and still am a Muslim. Except now I'm a Unitarian Universalist Muslim, aka UU Muslim. I dove headfirst into work and learning about Unitarian Universalism mostly from teenagers in the youth program. At the same time, I remember visiting my Pakistani Muslim parents in that first month I was hired and witnessing a complete parental freakout. Why? Because my younger brother had Googled UUs, only to stumble upon websites declaring it was a cult. And unknown to me, he had convinced my parents I had been hired by a cult. To some degree, I don't even think my brother cared if I had joined a cult. He just enjoyed watching my parents freak out. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I was finally able to sit with my family and talk to them about why I really liked working in a church community, and many years later, seeing their surprise at the fact that I was serious about it. For the longest time, I always felt like I was towing the line between completely belonging in a UU community and being okay with wanting to stay Muslim too. You see, I like being Muslim a lot. I love the Pakistani Muslim culture I grew up in. The prayers my grandmothers taught me to recite when I'm scared. I love the traditions, the rituals, and 10-day long weddings too. But now I love being a UU too. There is deep joy in finding a spiritual home that doesn't erase who you are. Joy in realizing you don't have to leave one part of yourself at the door. It's kind of like a joy that creeps in slowly, maybe during a hymn or a song you didn't know you'd love, or in the way someone's child says, Assalamu alaikum, meaning peace be upon you, without hesitation, and then goes on to light a chalice. I remember visiting my first UU service as a guest and being deeply, deeply moved by the hymn, Spirit of Life. I forget now if I was having a bad day, but there was something about that hymn that day that moved my soul and made me weep. I'm not sharing this so you begin including this hymn in all your services, but rather to share that it connected with my Muslim identity at that time. I knew then I belonged in Unitarian Universalism. People ask me, how can I be both? How do I reconcile the two faiths? To go a little theological, I wanted to share a story rooted in what I feel are threads of nonviolence and justice in Islam. Before he was known as a prophet, Muhammad was known simply as Al-Amin, or the trustworthy one. When the Kaaba in Mecca was damaged by floods, the tribes at that time came together to rebuild it. But when it came to replacing or placing the black stone, a sacred symbol tied to the prophet Abraham and their shared history, a conflict erupted. Every tribe wanted the honor of placing the rock in the Kaaba. Every tribe felt entitled to that honor. Every tribe was ready to fight for it. What began as a spiritual honor was on the verge of erupting into serious conflict that could fragment their partnerships. So they asked Prophet Muhammad, a trusted advisor to the communities, to mediate. He came up with an interesting idea. He asked for a sheet and spread it out, laying it flat as people watched. He then placed the stone in the center. He invited a leader from each of the tribes to hold the edge of the sheet, then invited them to lift it together to walk it over to the Kaaba. He walked alongside them and to the Kaaba. He then lifted the rock and set it in place. This way, no one was erased or dismissed. No one was humiliated. No one was left out. In this story, peace or nonviolence was not imposed, it was practiced. This wasn't conflict avoidance, it was an example of conflict transformation, where they built something together rather than falling into disarray. The story acknowledges they needed someone they trusted to be part of helping them move towards transformation with shared power. Verse 135 from chapter 5 of the Quran states, "Stand firm for justice as witnesses, even if it is against yourselves, your parents, or close relatives. Do not let your desires cause you to deviate from justice." In Unitarian Universalism, we talk about covenant. We talk about staying in a relationship even in times of conflict or when things get hard in our communities. This commitment reminds me of this Quranic verse, to stand firm for justice even if it is against yourself. For me, this is a call to holding ourselves accountable and to stay committed to a covenant amongst ourselves, even if it means inviting in a trusted community member to help us think through how we can repair and restore relationship. And in the story of the Black Rock, covenant looks like hands on the same cloth. In Unitarian Universalism, we talk about aspiring to be a beloved community, inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for a world where justice and love belong together. And in this story, beloved community looks like collective lifting. No one claiming the whole moment, no one erased from it. In Unitarian Universalism, we talk about interdependence, about how our lives are bound up with one another. And in this story, interdependence looks like each person holding an edge, knowing that if one lets go, everything fails. And I invite you to reflect on this. If the cloth is the covenant, where are we refusing to hold the cloth together? Where are you gripping it maybe too tightly? Where are we stepping back to make room? Where are we deciding someone doesn't deserve a handhold? In writing about why he is a UU Hindu minister, Reverend Abhi Janamanji shared in an article titled Faith in the Borderland. As a minister, I share my own religious journey, not because it is more important than anyone else's, but because it is part of building and sustaining relationships. I consider myself a UU Hindu, flavored by the Islamic heritage of my father, Buddhist spiritual practice, and the study and exploration of other world religious traditions. My Unitarian Universalism helps me be a better Hindu, a better human being. It celebrates my identity as a religious hybrid and a theological crossbreed. A 2009 Pew Research Center poll titled Many Americans Mix Multiple Faiths found that Americans are increasingly blending their religious beliefs with more than one religion, entering interfaith marriages or relationships, and attending worship services of more than one community. It found interfaith marriages and families are on the rise in the US, and more people are exploring different religious communities because now we're accessible virtually. Following in Reverend Janamanji's steps, I share my story because it's part of building and sustaining relationships here today. To give voice to people who identify as multi-faith and those in interfaith families. While UUs are eager to build community outside of their UU congregations with interfaith partners, people holding multi-faith identities within Unitarian Universalism, such as UU Muslims, UU Hindus, UU Jews, UU Buddhists, UU pagans, UU atheists and humanists, and UU Christians, all can be overlooked. So I ask you, how could engaging people who identify as multi-faith and interfaith in this congregation and your congregation help us to understand what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist today? Could it help us be more powerful allies for our neighbors in this moment? Reverend Dr. Susan Ritchie, a UU theologian, has traced influences of Islam on Unitarianism and in the Edict of Torah in the book titled Children of the Same God. Her colleague, Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker, another UU minister, reflects on Ritchie's groundbreaking work by stating, especially illuminating is the revelation that Unitarians are children of Islam, as well as of Christianity and Judaism. Parker goes on to say, I have learned from Ritchie that you can find Muslim prayer rugs in Unitarian churches in Eastern Europe. It is pertinent for us to start thinking of how to create and sustain welcoming spaces for people identifying as multi-faith or those seeking pluralism, because more people will be coming to our communities in the next few years searching for answers or refuge. Could we make space for them? And also for those amongst us who are UU Christians, and in the same breath hold space for the UU humanists and atheists too. Imagine how our spaces and communities could look in the future as we expand to welcome the multi-faith, such as UU Muslims and interfaith families. Some congregations could have Muslim prayer rugs, like we've done at times at GA. There are already readings on Islam in our gray hymnal and hymns written by Muslims. There is joy in preparing spaces that delight in difference. There's joy in the shared ritual, the bilingual hymn sings, the awkward but beloved potlucks where no one knows if the samosas are spicy or not. Joy arrives when someone realizes maybe for the first time, I belong here, and so does my whole family. And when that joy ripples out, it's contagious. Ritchie states in her book, yet what Unitarian Universalism has always understood, even if cultural values have sometimes kept it from acting on that understanding, is that religion is not a container, but a matrix of relationships. Religion is not a single thing, nor is it ever the same. It is not a substance, it is an action. And if religion is a relationship, then it is inherently multi-religious. That's part of why I love my role as congregational life staff. When I meet with congregations across the Central East region, I see how our diversity of stories, theologies, and practices make us stronger. Some congregations are exploring new partnerships in their local interfaith networks. Some are rediscovering the joy of multi-generational learning. Others are building courageous conversations about race, climate, or democracy. And all of that connects back to this sermon, being both rooted in your own spiritual home and connected to the wider world, both honoring your traditions and making room for what is emerging. So let me leave you with both a blessing and a reminder. The blessing that you may continue to find joy in welcoming the whole of who people are in this congregation and your own lives. Joy that ripples outward, joy that waves back at us from unexpected places. That is the work of being both, too. Both the beloved small community here and part of something larger that sustains and strengthens us all. Amen.
Keep reading, I have to use this one. If you'll join in singing our final hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, and it's very short, so can we do it 3 times? Okay, so rise as you're willing and able. Have to start at the beginning, and I'm not a music director. Okay. I did neglect, I think, to mention in the introduction that we have a second hour today after the service, and you get a snack. TED Talks. Is Ashley here? Okay. And supposed to be Learn to Crochet, but I didn't see Alex. Okay, so probably not. Choir practice in the Harmony Room, and anybody who wants to talk about the sermon will have speaker circle up front here. And I'll close and extinguish the chalice with another reading. This is called Ibrahim's Prayer. Beloved children of the oneness of many names, you who cover the land in numbers greater than the stars, I petition you, I pray to you, because you are the fruit of God's promise to the world, because each of you holds a piece of the truth of all that is, because the vision of beloved community needs each one of you, this is what I pray. Show loving kindness for one another. Use wisely the unique gifts of your humanity, your free will, imagination, creativity, compassion, your knowledge, power of understanding, and awareness. All that is an image of the highest good. See the beauty in your cousin's eye, the wisdom in your sibling's smile. Listen for the truth which is unspoken in each heart. Hold one another with tenderness and allow love to transcend fear, fear that too often darkens your thoughts and poisons your heart. Come together, followers of Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be unto them all. Embrace the children and followers of all the prophets who call us toward peace, all the seekers and people of goodwill. Adore all that emerges from the mystery of life. Treasure one another. Call forth wholeness for your fellow creatures. Protect and renew the sustenance for life, the earth, the air, the water. Hold the fire with gentleness. Use it wisely for growth and goodness. Come together from the deserts, the mountains, the wetlands, and the shores. Lift the veil of indifference. Learn to understand one another's plight and share in the beauty, wonder, joy, and awe of life. Love, mercy, and kindness, and walk humbly with one another and with all creation. Love your neighbors as you love yourself. Give to others the full measure of your goodness, so they will give unto you the same. As you honor the covenant of your traditions, may you also covenant with all people of goodwill, a covenant of love, compassion, humility, generosity, gratitude, and celebration. May it always be so. And now, please remain seated for the postlude, and then we'll enjoy some refreshments together. Thank you.